call timeout just to catch our breath. Brazil wins the tap, and it's Acuff and Arkansas in the road red. Phylon starts off on Acuff. Reitzel sets the screen, Acuff, and that is a good start.
Yeah, just simple get action. Acuff throws it, gets it right back into a wide open pull-up jump shot.
So Phylon and Holloway are the two scorers, although literally everyone on the team can shoot threes. And they will launch a bunch of them.
It feels like a game, the first one to 90 wins. That's the pace they both want to go with.
Holloway instead drives up and in, and he's become a late game closer for Alabama. Arkansas starting five. Meleek Thomas is a bucket. Billy Richmond, Billy Goat they call him, has been spectacular. And Brazil's going to stay on the floor and avoid foul trouble.
Yeah, no one is playing harder right now in the SEC than 24 in red. Billy Richmond, a guy that you don't have to run plays for. He just goes and makes plays.
Thomas threw it up, and that's nice. Good, and a foul. Other team's uniform now back in the building and converting a three-point play.
And Nados will tell you, Nick Pringle was one of the smartest high IQ big guys he's ever coached. A lob threat protects the rim.
And he says playing with that joy again that we saw here.
Yeah.
Arkansas closed to avoid the three-point shots, and Richmond, good battle with Amari Allen, up into him. He's got a chance. A lot on free throw shooting today during the shoot-around. A lot.
Well, they have a unique free throw game, don't they? At the end of each practice, a make counts for one, a miss counts for three, and you're trying to get to 100 on the makes.
Thomas, and that bucket is big for both teams to start this game.
Those two guards for Arkansas, the only two in the country that are freshmen on the same team, averaging over 15.
Good. Phylon use his body, takes it all the way in, no good, and Brazil skies for the rebound. And they got Acuff on the other side. Richmond didn't see him, but Billy Richmond makes layups and dunks, and that's all he's done his last now 20 baskets.
Yeah, coming off of a game against Auburn where he had 12 makes, 7 layups, 5 dunks. He lives at the rim.
A higher percentage shot. Good start for Arkansas on the road as Sherrell throws it up, and there to bring it down is Jemison.
It is a built-in threat for Alabama, Rowdy. They put those corners covered up. Anytime there's a penetrating dribble, if you step up, the lob play out of the dunker spot comes into play.
Richmond, rare three, that's no good. And again, you highlight the layups and the dunks.
Yeah. Billy Richmond is shooting 10% on unguarded threes in SEC play.
Yeah, Holloway wide open for him. That's a virtual layup.
He is not shooting 10%. He's in the high 40%. Aiden Holloway again. To guard Alabama, you got to guard the ball and keep them out of the paint and take away those spray threes.
Number one shooter in the SEC with threes. Number 6 in the NCAA, Aiden Holloway. They got 5 on the shot clock, and Jemison is on Thomas. On the baseline, Pringle, no good, didn't hit anything. Good defense. And here's Jemison. Bam. 12-9, the late arriving crowd now filling in as Acuff pulls up, and that's off. Alabama's taken 6 shots, made 5. And another 6 of 7. Red hot start. And a timeout on the floor. And Wagner will be the 2 guys that come off the bench for Arkansas. Meantime, it may be as healthy as Alabama has been all year. And Nate Oates thinks this team is really, really capable of great things once healthy. Richmond a pull-up. That's short. You try to follow it, does, and puts it up and in.
He absolutely just whips people's backside with effort.
Took that away from Bo Bowen, who's limping badly as he comes down the floor.
Well, his feelings are hurt more than his foot.
Houston Millett also onto the floor for Alabama, wearing 95 in the corner. Phylon trying to push the defender away, couldn't, and here's a chance for Acuff, who looks up and sees Reitzel and blows right by him.
It is almost impossible to take Darius Acuff away in transition, because he went right through and around a really good defensive wall.
Bowen shot is off, and who comes in to get the rebound? Acuff. Calipari said he's as tough as any player he's ever coached.
Arkansas has been a low turnover team, Ravi, the last 7, only 9 turnovers per game.
That's what Richmond does, man. He absorbs the body blow and now 4 straight out of that timeout.
Yeah, if you're Alabama, you have to absorb his drive. You're playing off of him, but you can't let him get that deep.
Good blow by there, but a missed layup. Back up again. Finger roll will work. Difficult shot. Amari Allen is claiming his shirt was grabbed.
Well, Amari Allen, don't be shocked if he's not a first-round pick as well in this loaded freshman class. Positional size as a big wing.
Acuff, really difficult shot. Good defense that time. Forced out and off balance by Reitzel. Splash. Right in the face of Acuff goes Philon.
And Philon sends a message to Acuff after the make. You don't step up on me early, I'm going to make you pay. It's a lazy closeout by Darius Acuff.
So a game of runs right here after scoring 4 in a row. Richmond will put one up. That's no good. And another uncontested shot.
Yeah, so Alabama has Richmond shooting pull-up jump shots, not letting him get to the rim.
Yeah.
And that is the game plan coming in.
Meleek, his first one too strong. Acuff picks up another rebound.
Well, he has gotten involved on the glass, has he not, this kid?
And there is just no fear when he has the ball going downhill. None.
Yeah, none. And no urgency by Alabama to get back and stop the basketball. Well, when your point guard scrapes down and rips that thing off the glass and comes with that type of speed, it is a tough cover.
Acuff, 6 points, 3 rebounds. Give him his 4th rebound. Well, Vinny Johnson in him too. When he gets going, man, he is really difficult to stop as it's knocked out of bounds on the stay with Arkansas. They're going to play a handful tonight given their lack of roster depth. Yeah, Acuff, the pride of Detroit right now, and he hands it to Brazil. Doesn't take the 3. High arcer off the window, challenged by Sherrill.
What a great job by Brazil, though, to attack that gap, and the very high release on the right side, impossible to get to.
Wagner's the guy now chasing Holloway around. Thomas trying to blow up the Sherrill screen. Reitzel blocked by Acuff. Brazil will get fouled by Jemison.
Blocking shots, scraping down to get on that defensive glass.
31 points he had against Auburn. Acuff made 7 3-point field goals that night. Meleek Ewan 12 in red into the game. Acuff feeling it and finding it. Darius Acuff is having a highlight resume type start to this game with his scoring, rebounding, and the block.
Ravi, he is a star guard. Free throw line and below, which is how you judge how good are you as a guard. He is outstanding at that part of the floor.
Wagner and Holloway. There's a lot of hands being used by these defenders, and that's got the attention of the crowd. There's a block by Brazil, who gives you over 2 a game.
Sherrill's got to find that backside 3.
Thomas, a about-face 3 to give him a 4-point lead.
And how about the 5.5-minute stretch now by Arkansas after that timeout?
Sherrill blocked from behind by Ewan, and Sherrill's free throw ends a 9-0 run for Arkansas, and that was when Ewan and Wagner entered. So positive minutes from the guys coming in off their bench. If you're into that plus-minus scoring, Acuff missed one. Ewan had it for a chance.
We're on pace for a 75-76 possession game, which is exactly what Alabama and Arkansas wants to be at. Not a team that grinds you down really on either end.
There goes Jimmy. The team shoots about 36 3-point field goals a game. They've taken 6 tonight of their 16 shots.
54% of their shots overall are from the 3-point line. One of the highest ratios in the college game.
Yeah, that was going to be an alley-oop, and the ball ends up in the hands of Jemison. The left-handed layup, aggressive. Khalil Bethia also into the game now. He got pushed off by Acuff, but he's getting some minutes. Brazil sets a back screen against him, and that allows Acuff to handle. Thomas is wide open. And boy, man.
Anytime you describe the action, Thomas is wide open, it's going to be 3 points for Arkansas. Just lack of communication by Alabama on the switch. Watch out.
Bethia into the game, and he looks at Nato. That's about the worst guy you can pass the ball to out of bounds if you're wearing white.
No
Coach. There's a nice chest-high bounce pass to him, but not the guy you want catching it.
Interesting, Cal told us today, if I sense my guys are tired, I'm going to play call and slow the game down and let my guys rest on offense. That's 101 basketball. Rest on offense, not on defense.
How about this, Jimmy, too? That was the first turnover of the game. Thomas feeling it, too. He and Acuff doing exactly what we talked about at the top. 8 straight for Thomas. Nowhere to go but a Bowen open 3. No good. Wagner had it. That's going to be a foul on the shot. Shooting 65% in this game. And you can see Oates, I mean, his plan is to get fresh legs out there, given Thomas's 3, no good. Wow. Look at Richmond go up and get it. Acuff. Yes, and credit Billy Richmond with 3 on that one.
What do I say about the ball when you get it as an offensive rebound? The ball knows it deserves to go in on the next release. Man, can Acuff shoot that ball. The best shooting point guard Cal has ever had.
Acuff, historic numbers this season and in his career now. For Arkansas, Meleek had it in the paint, sees Bowen, who goes baseline. That's blocked by Ewan. So you see Acuff ahead of Scotty Thurman. Most points by an Arkansas freshman, and Thomas is feeling it.
Yeah, but I cannot say enough about Billy Goat Richmond. Back-to-back plays, effort plays, resulting in 3-point shots for the Hogs.
Thomas and Acuff, 24 of the 35 points right now. And they can't miss. Allen, no answer. Wagner pushes Richmond. All he sees is the backboard and the bucket.
Yeah, Billy Goat, as they call him in Fayetteville, is showing you why.
No timeout from Oates. Team down 14, and there's a...
Again, he is a problem right now for Alabama, just matching his energy, his toughness, and his fight.
How about a 13-0 run, and Oates is going to try to shoot his way back into this thing as Sherrill fires it in off the backboard.
Alabama needs more of that from Sherrill. He wants to leak out and shoot threes, but they need his big body pounding away on the inside.
And they got 2 great point guards, I should say, in Thomas and Acuff. There's no problem sharing the ball. They get along incredibly well. Richmond hard. That opens up Thomas, who steps. That's blocked. 4 seconds, and that's a contested jump shot by Richmond, and it goes in.
Billy Richmond drives baseline, makes the pass, the shot gets blocked, and who comes up with a loose ball? 24 in red.
14-point cushion. Philon. They're going to need him to put up some numbers, and LeBaron Philon now has 6.
No lead is going to be safe in this game.
No. One-on-one, Acuff, Philon. He kicks it. Wagner's turn. Allen. Boy, there's just no conscience and no shot they won't take.
Well, and Cal looking at Acuff, you cannot be low in your pickup point against Alabama. You can, but they'll make you pay with a 3.
Thomas throws one up. Not a good pass at all. And here's Philon with Richmond there. He wants a 3. LeBaron, too strong. I wonder if Arkansas's legs are getting a little tired as Philon can't get it to go. Another winning play underneath by Meleek. And a foul. Yeah, Kevin, Seth, thank you very much. The Vols very much in this thing at 8-4. They still have a test against Alabama, which we will see. But that's a defensive team, unlike the 2 tonight. that are playing at a high level offensively and don't, especially in the case of Alabama, seem to care too much about having to stop the other team. We'll outscore them.
Yeah, they come at you with a we will outscore you mentality, and you know what? They're pretty darn good at doing it. Nate Oates, though, pleading with his guys, if we're going to get hot at the right time, we've got to tighten up on the defensive end. I think it starts with LeBaron Philon, this kid with the ball. He was very good defensively last year, maybe taking a step or a half step back so far this season.
Sherrill, hard, another block, that time by Nick Pringle. Arkansas is winning the battle at the rim defensively, their third block of this first half. Bridgman's gone to the bench. Jimmy, he picked up his second foul.
That's a big second foul. Darius Acuff can get in the lane with a ball screen or without a ball screen.
Acuff was right behind Brazil. Instead, he goes with the right. What a shot.
He shot the ball down at the rim as high as he got. He has driven the ball twice now. Once right, once left.
Philon down low to Sherrill, and he picks up the bucket. Player, isn't he, Brazil?
Yeah,
more consistent.
I think he's had 17 blocks. Yeah. Trevin Brazil has in the last 4 or 5 games. Different player under John Calipari.
7-point lead, foul trouble, given only 7 available players for Arkansas is a real thing. And though Philon, he's got 2 on the other side. Acuff, boy, with Philon and a left hand in his face.
Well, it's a gamble to play zone with Acuff and Meleek Thomas on the floor. If one of them's on the floor, that's one thing, but not 2, and Acuff makes them pay.
Allen left his feet, found Philon, finds the lane in the basket.
Good job, running it to get himself under control, because man, there was a violent drive with the ball, but finished it off with a very under-controlled final step.
Acuff has 14, Thomas has 13, Allen in double figures for Alabama with 11. Wagner passes it up, Brazil. That's short. Sherrill with the right rips it down, and they call a travel.
It obviously looked like it from behind the play. Tough call against Sherrill, though.
Acuff, no. Holloway's only got 5 points. He's taken just 2 shots. He's made them both. Philon snaking his way in, and he will go to the free throw line on Williamson in 1 second. 4 minutes to go. Arkansas 44-37. And Brazil, same spot he just missed from, comes up short. Thomas finds Acuff, and that one is off.
Boy, Alabama dodged one, did they not?
Yeah, 2. Allen, he got Brazil in the air. Off.
And a good job by Ewan, though, to be the second guy to rotate over. Take away vision on that 3.
Yeah, Wagner.
Why? I mean, look at Cal's reaction. He was saying the same thing with different words.
And then he just said, move the ball. Reitzel mismatch. He's got Ewan on him. So he tries to dance around him. He doesn't bite on that. Now he's got a 3. Boy, he moved all over the place, did Reitzel, to set up that 2.
Alabama might make one of those 10-foot shots a half, maybe 1.
Arkansas has missed 5 in a row. Wagner thought about a bounce pass down low to Brazil, but it's Thomas. 16 in the first half.
Right, you put a stopwatch on Thomas from the time he catches it to it's out of his hand. It's probably about 7/10 of a second, which is high level.
Philon went right by Wagner, gives him a look and a couple of words. Philon double figures as well.
You can see Cal slowing the game down right now, knowing I got 7 guys.
Yep.
He told us this is exactly what I'll do. I will play call and put us in some long offense possessions to catch our breath.
Acuff, players which they've dealt with during the course of this season.
Yeah, the Big 12 right now is really dealing with injuries. How about A.J. Devontae's 24 points to break Danny Ainge's all-time BYU freshman record?
Gonna happen.
That's how good he has been.
Sherrill, man, living in that paint. And the three ball, no good. And Acuff bounces it off Philon. Here we go, 3-on-2. Wagner, Acuff. Splash. Boy, is he a calm shooter. Acuff, 19 in the first half. He's made 7 field goals and 3 threes.
In a long, long list of great Calipari point guards, he's the best shooter that Cal has had from that three-point line.
Can he shoot without a shoe? He's got to put his shoe back on.
No doubt he can. And Ravi, he can do it from all ways. He can come off screens. He can shot fake and sidestep. Darius Acuff was not full speed. He took a hard fall. Auburn player fell into him on Saturday. Was hobbled a little bit yesterday in practice, but that is just too easy for a guy that's shooting what he is from the three-point line. Darius Acuff, 43% from 3 overall. A repeatable stroke.
Acuff on the team, Jimmy, coming into the game, had taken 104 shots in the SEC. He's taken 37 more shots than Thomas had coming into the game in conference. It's a bulk shooter and a bulk maker. He's going to try again. And it goes.
Ravi, that's on Alabama. Where's the ball screen defense on Darius Acuff? Coming off that thing completely clean.
22 points for Acuff. Reitzel. That one is off. Acuff was there, and Sherrill is there to pick up the offensive rebound and flush.
Yeah, he's doing his job. Sherrill is exactly what Nate Oates needs from that 5 spot. A small team, but man, Sherrill's got to give him something around that rim.
All right, so Calipari, even though there's about a 5-second differential, wants to slow it down, take the air out of the ball, and get one shot.
Nate Oates traps the ball out of Darius Acuff's hands. Wants someone else to make a play. It's Wagner.
Oh, Wagner went himself, and he went quickly.
What a great job by Wagner. You're going to put 2 on Acuff. I'm still explosive enough to make you pay for that gamble.
A 57-point first half. Holloway. It's good. And a fitting way to end the first half. Holy smokes. 57. I have to imagine that Oates got into his team about defense, right?
You would think so. And as high usage as Thomas and Acuff are, only 1 combined turnover in the first half out of the 40 minutes they played.
All right, so they start with Allen, who immediately throws it to Brazil, who sees the green light and dunks it to start.
Ravi, that's not easy for a 6'10" guy to get the ball out in front of him and win the foot race to the rim. An explosive athlete is 7 in red.
Holloway found Sherrill. Philon in the paint, little dump off to Sherrill for the flush.
They have had some success with that, have they not? Talking about Alabama. Draw that big up the floor, dump it off out of that dunker spot to Sherrill.
30 points in the paint, to your point. I mean, 30 of their 49 points in the paint. Give and go again to Pringle, who throws it up, and that was good D by Sherrill to hold his ground.
Yeah, he never got squared up, never was strong with the ball.
Trying to chip away to double-digit deficit. Holloway, Sherrill, they would rather the 3 than the 2, and they will get the 2 and maybe 3.
But because of the mistaken foul, Billy Richmond back on the floor.
Thomas. Boy, I tell you, Jimmy, he took a bunch during warm-ups and didn't make many. He is a big game red light player, and there's a steal. And Acuff. Look at Richmond win that battle. Amazing.
That is a Billy Richmond assist. 24 in red, checks in, and within 30 seconds, he just takes the celebration between Acuff and Meleek Thomas. Just having a party right now in Tuscaloosa as true freshman.
It is a stunning statistic. 10 threes between those two and 5 in the game for Alabama.
Yeah, the shot making by Arkansas so far is at a ridiculous level.
Sherrill working in the paint. Both are available on the ESPN app.
Yeah, Ole Miss right now, Coach Yo, big win over Tennessee earlier this week. They're one of the 4 teams right now that are on the outside looking in terms of being able to host. And if they can get hot at the right time, Ole Miss could slide up as one of those top 16 teams.
Well, back here, can Arkansas stay hot the entire game? They gave Thomas some room. He missed that one. Largest comeback this year by Alabama was 14 against Mississippi State. Minutes of play to go with the rebounds. They set up a corner 3. That's way short. And Acuff nearly had it. Now Brazil hustles for it. And good defense. Great defense that time. Coming back was Reitzel. This could be a big turning point. And a 3 from Jemison.
Coach Cal slowing it down, going to a play call. You absolutely do not want to turn that ball over right now if you're Arkansas and ignite this building.
Brazil thought he had a layup. Acuff fade away, finds the bottom. Acuff 24 points.
What's the play call? Isolation for Darius Acuff. Turn this thing into a one-on-one match. 5 in red wins it.
What a shooting night between Acuff and Thomas. The alley-oop went to Brazil. And a jump ball, and it's
one. He gets to the sweet spot at that logo.
Arkansas still only 2 turnovers all game. 5 on the other side.
One of the best in the country at taking care of the ball the last 7 games.
Wagner wide open. Too strong. He's missed his shots, and we're going to keep it here. Foul called against Reitzel Jr. with a hold. That's his second.
Bevy, I know Wagner's open, but there's a reason. He's a 20% three-point shooter. Just keep the ball moving right now for DJ Wagner. I'm saying the same thing that Cal and Chin and Bruiser are saying on that bench as well.
Yeah, 5 of 24 coming into the game from three-point land. Acuff just slowing it down and knocking it down. 26 now in a game.
You are watching something special. He's going to be right there for the SEC Player of the Year as a true freshman.
Hard take and nowhere to go. Dump off there from Reitzel. Acuff surveys, and Brazil drives, throws it up. Not a great shot from Brazil. Williamson is back into the game. Alabama, Jim, is going to have to take advantage of the stops they get.
Yeah.
Scoring on the other end. That's going to be a moving screen.
Kentucky, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander on down the list. This guy is right there with the best of them that Cal has ever had.
Yeah, and by the way, there were a few coaches who were a little bit sort of turned off by Acuff.
Yeah.
And his attitude and his actions on the recruiting circuit. That's going to be a moving screen against Pringle. And Cal was insistent that his method was going to help this guy. And he told me today, here's the thing about Darius Acuff. He knew what he needed.
Yep.
He needed to be coached hard. And he bought into what Cal's experience with all those guards you talked about. Man, has he turned into a high draft pick.
You can say a lot about Coach Cal. He has a magic touch for elite level point guards. He just knows how to handle them throughout the course of a year.
Yeah, the important word is handle them, right?
Yeah, that's it.
It's not just coach them, it's handle the whole thing.
Yeah.
13-point lead. Phylon Sherrill.
Good play by Nate Oates. Kind of that timeout. He goes to an empty two-man game on the far side of the floor away from his bench. Sherrill rolls out of it with really good footwork for a kid his size.
Wagner drives in. He will drop.
Topping out for the year. Teams in March that are hot, healthy, and hungry, man. Those are the ones that will make the deep runs.
An odd game for Alabama, who have 34 points in the paint.
On the floor.
And for all the points they've scored, there is a ton of time left in this game. A ton. Down to 10, trying to get the crowd here at the Coliseum into it. Acuff, ball on a string. Wagner got cut off defensively. Not this time as he throws it up with the left, and that is Wagner at his best.
I think he learned to turn down those threes now and drive that ball to the paint. He's right there with Acuff in terms of he can get into the paint, not the elite finish.
24 for the Razorbacks back into the game.
Well, Arkansas can go small because Alabama's gone small with no Sherrell on the floor. Bowen the 5-man, and now Brazil.
He just fell down too. Bowen, there was no trip there. Richmond's playing with 3 fouls, and a whole host of them are playing with 2. Foul trouble, something to keep an eye on as this game moves on with only 7 available players.
Bowen got tripped off ball, did he not?
Looked that way. Reitzel draws Acuff now. Brazil's left open. And a good battle by Bowen, a good rebounder there to take one away from Richmond. Filon with his left spins it in. Not easy.
He learned that playing on his driveway back in Mobile, Alabama. 9 or 10 years old against older kids. Talked to him today about it. So I didn't develop as a shooter there, but I developed my get to the rim game on my home driveway.
Thomas determined, and that was Brazil who picked up the missed shot. And another opportunity, and that's 3 more for Acuff.
He can flat out spin it, can he not, Darius Acuff? He can rip it, man, for a point guard.
Yeah, but in so many sports, it's the play before the play, and that time it was Brazil who picked up the ball. Filon will have a chance for 3.
That's what he developed. And Alabama comes in. 4 straight games. And Nate Oates knows he's going to stay in contention for an SEC regular season title. These are must-win games. He's up 4 with 6 to go on his home floor.
Arkansas has taken 5 free throws. Alabama's taken 20.
And there's just no leave of Acuff at all right now in the half court.
Yeah, Brazil, tough pass at the feet of Pringle on the turnover for Arkansas. Filon, way off. And nobody but Sherrell got it. And up and in. Boy, that was a slow motion rebound, and only Sherrell went after it.
Yeah, Arkansas was boxing off, and nobody went for the ball. And Cal's going to have to burn a timeout to get down to 2.
And 7 minutes and 15 seconds without an Acuff shot. Sitting on 29 points. How can they get him going again?
He normally doesn't need a ball screen to get to the paint.
The pull-up, and he needed it.
And that's exactly what Cal went to. He didn't bring a second defender up into the action. Just trusted Acuff to get to that elbow, win the elbow, win the jump shot.
Cal trying to work the officials to get a foul on that call or future ones. Holloway, oh my! Spins it in with his right. Alabama is on fire the second half. 13 of 16 from the floor. Acuff foul.
Count it.
And they will count it. And Oates is livid.
How the rule reads, he's right. But how the officials call it this year, they did the right thing.
So Acuff went 7-15 without shooting. Now he's got 5 points in 9 seconds.
There he is.
Sherrell will have to kick it. 8 on the shot clock. Jemison lost it. And out of bounds off of Alabama. 9th turnover.
Well, Darius Acuff went silent for 3 or 4 minute stretch. But the ball's going to be in his hands to close out this game for Arkansas. And if you're Alabama, you have to know it. Because this kid, again, he doesn't need a ball screen to get in the paint.
Thomas back on the floor with 4. Pringle has got 4 fouls. Thomas drives. The floater, no good. Out of bounds, stays right where we are. Arkansas basketball.
So, I mean, this is now a special team situation. The game's been played at a frenetic pace. When the game stops and play calls are made, who wins those possessions, the remaining 4:13 is a big, big deal.
And I was looking at his replay review guy to see if there's a challenge on that. They decide no. Acuff by his man. Boy, Darius Acuff is back.
And Cal doesn't bring a ball screen into play. He just trusts Acuff to win that one-on-one battle. You're not going to win them all if you're Alabama, but you certainly can't lose them all. The remaining 3:51 in this game.
Watch out. Wide open down the lane.
What in the world is what Cal's saying? I mean, total confusion. That's just simple offense with a middle ball screen. Sherrill dives out of it. What a force 22 and white has been in this half.
Acuff's got 36. Richmond just threw it up there. Really didn't have a shot. And out of bounds in most paint points this season. 48 of them in the paint. They scored 54 in the paint against St. John's. We got 3:26 to go. And Brazil had an opportunity. Passed it up.
Acuff has 36, the most ever for an Arkansas freshman. He'll need at least 40 for Arkansas to win this game.
Wagner drives, kicks. Brazil can make it. Too strong. And Sherrill rips down his 9th rebound.
It was Bobby Portis, right? With 35. Was it
35?
Record holder before tonight.
Big trip for Alabama, up by 3. They have a man wide open. Wagner came in front, stole it. What a play by Wagner.
Just the second turnover by Philon in this game. This is Acuff time.
Yeah, or Thomas, or Richmond. Oh, wow. My goodness, Billy Richmond, the Billy Goat.
It was Acuff time, though, right, because he's got so much gravity, attention on him. Just as he starts to punch the paint, they come off Richmond, and Richmond, bam, with a nice attack of the rim.
Starts to get into who wants the ball this time. Philon's got Brazil on him all the way, lays it up and in. Philon now with 28.
I can tell you, he wants it, and Darius Acuff wants it. Those two dudes have no fear, none.
Brazil kicks. Wagner can't get that free to go, and it was wide open.
Yeah, wrong guy taking the shot, though.
Wagner is 0 for 4 from 3 tonight.
We said first to 90. Well, that's been Alabama. See if it holds up.
Philon, Wagner. Good defense. Philon keeps it up and in. He's got 30.
Just the fight that Philon has to not give up on the play. Wagner snuffed it out.
19 of those 30 in the second half. Can Acuff answer? That's a goaltend. He does answer.
We said it early. Florida is built to go the distance out of this league. These are the next two teams that can make a Final Four run because of how explosive they are on the offensive end.
Allen and Thomas didn't want to foul him, and they'll inbounds with 17 seconds and a 3-point lead. Richmond trying to stay in front of Philon. He's got 4 fouls on him. Brazil switches. And Philon, no. Acuff has a chance to tie. Under a minute. Acuff, 3. Too strong. Brazil keeps it alive. They have time. Meleek Thomas. Whistle was blown before.
Possession alive for Arkansas if there's a miss.
Meleek one-on-one goes hard, lays it up. Oh, free throw shooter. And these are his first of the night.
You want your toughest, most competitive guys on the stripe, Ravi, in a situation like this. And if it's not Acuff, Meleek Thomas is 1B.
Thomas, Wagner, and Pringle, 4 fouls. Richmond still has 3 fouls. So he's got 1 to give. Williamson's going to come in. Reitzel's going to come out as they go for the rebound here, trying to protect against Brazil or Pringle from knocking a miss off. 1-point game. And available in this game.
Yeah, there's too much time left to foul immediately right now. Nado's saying the same thing, I believe.
Acuff rises. Ties the game.
We said he had to get 40, and he just did.
Phylon, 6 seconds. One-on-one with Richmond.
Good on good.
No good. Tipped. And we... Ball, Jimmy. 95 all. Will get to 100 in this one.
Acuff has played all 40 minutes.
Yep.
41 points. 1 turnover. He's a big-time pro in a college game.
Yeah. Wagner again.
Yeah,
finally one. Finds the bottom, his first 3 of the night.
And that's about his percentage on the year, 20%. One was due to go in. A big start for Arkansas to start this overtime.
They get it down low to Sherrill. Brazil from behind with a block.
He has been their shot blocker the last 3 games. Has Trevin Brazil. So quick and so long recovering to that ball.
Arkansas has won the battle on the block front. 5 in the game now.
Acuff looks just as fresh as he did the opening minute.
Yeah, they're going to leave Richmond open, and he knocks it down. How about it? Wagner and Richmond making the shots in overtime.
Billy Goat.
Phylon, no chance for a reverse. They kick to Allen's 3. No good. Kept alive by Sherrill. What a job. Aiden now 22.
Man, look at the minutes that Sherrill has played in this game, Rav. He's up to plus 29 minutes. And just continues to make energy play after energy play.
Brazil, a floater. No good.
A tough shot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Again.